In a blow to Prime Minister Theresa May, MPs voted to give Parliament a legal guarantee of a vote on the final Brexit deal struck with Brussels.
The government had argued this would jeopardize its chances of delivering a smooth departure from the EU, despite a last-minute attempt to offer concessions to rebels. An amendment to the bill was backed by 309 to 305.
One of them, Stephen Hammond, was sacked as Conservative vice chairman in the aftermath of the vote.
Tonight I put country and constituency before party and voted with my principles to give Parliament a meaningful vote, he tweeted.
The government said it was disappointed at losing its first defeat on Brexit, despite the strong assurances it had offered.
Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn said the defeat was a humiliating loss of authority for Mrs May on the eve of an EU summit where leaders will discuss Brexit.
It's the first time that Theresa May has been defeated on her own business in the Commons.
She has to front up in Brussels tomorrow with other EU leaders only hours after an embarrassing loss in Parliament.
Beyond the red faces in government tonight, does it really matter?
Ministers tonight are divided on that.
Two cabinet ministers have told me while it's disappointing it doesn't really matter in the big picture.
It's certainly true that the Tory party is so divided over how we leave the EU that the parliamentary process was always going to be very, very choppy.
But another minister told me the defeat is bad for Brexit and was openly frustrated and worried about their colleagues' behavior.
The defeat came after opposition parties joined forces with Conservative rebels during a heated debate in the chamber on the amendment.
Critics accused those behind the amendment, which was authored by former Attorney General Dominic Grieve and championed by other pro-Remain campaigners, of trying to frustrate Brexit and tying the government's hands. After the result was announced, one of the rebels, former Cabinet Minister Nicky Morgan, tweeted, "Tonight Parliament took control of the EU withdrawal process," but other Conservative MPs reacted angrily, with one, Nadine Dorries, saying the rebels should be deselected. The Tory rebels were Mr Grieve, Heidi Allen, Ken Clark, Jonathan Giannochili, Stephen Hammond, Sir Oliver Heald, Nicky Morgan, Bob Neill, Antoinette Sandbach, Anna Soubry, and Sarah Wollaston.
Its effects include ending the supremacy of EU law and copying existing EU law into UK law, so that the same rules and regulations apply on Brexit Day.
MPs have been making hundreds of attempts to change its wording, but this is the first time one has succeeded.
Unless the government manages to overturn it further down the line, it means a new Act of Parliament will have to be passed before ministers can implement the withdrawal deal struck with Brussels. Ministers had made several efforts to placate the Conservative rebels, and argued that Mr Grieve's amendment would put unnecessary time pressure on the government if talks with the EU continued until the last minute.
They had already promised to vote on the final deal and to enshrine the withdrawal agreement in an Act of Parliament, but critics demanded a guarantee of a meaningful vote before the deal is agreed.
They said the wording of the bill would allow ministers to bypass Parliament in implementing what is agreed with Brussels.